I have a question for you. Are birds reptiles or are humans actually fish? Let's get into it. Now, to answer this question, I want to show you something called a phylogeny that we can illustrate with a phylogenetic tree, which is essentially like a family tree for evolutionary relationships. So here we have our phylogenetic tree, and you can separate it out into fish and sharks and amphibians with salamanders and frogs, and reptiles with lizards, snakes, turtles, and alligators, and with birds such as ducks, parrots, and songbirds, and then with mammals such as monotremes, marsupials, hoofed mammals, carnivores, primates, and even rodents. Now, it's pretty easy to see that, for example, amphibians and mammals are completely different, but we can take that a step further, where if we want to look at what's called a monophyletic group, we can look at the ancestor and all of their descendants. We can take the points that the branches meet, this node of the ancestor and all of their descendants, and we call this a monophyletic group. Now, we can take this and now ask, are birds and reptiles different? Now wait, of course you're thinking they are different. Birds have feathers and they're warm-blooded and they have 4-chambered hearts where most reptiles have 2 or 3 or 3.5 chambered hearts. But let's take a look. Now let's look at our reptile and birds group. Now you might notice that there's actually kind of a cutoff on the reptile group there. And I want to point us back to this node right here, because an important thing about these nodes is that they can actually swivel. Now, this swiveling doesn't actually change the relatedness. And in fact, here it can actually illustrate our point much better. The alligator is further away from the other reptiles. They are more closely related to the birds. Which means that if we're going to take our relatedness, it's going to shift. And we're going to see it as if we have reptiles, birds, and reptiles. And this creates a bit of a problem. So, we could create it as the bird-reptile group if we want it to be monophyletic. And now our phylogenetic tree looks something like this, which isn't too bad. But, you might have noticed now, there is something else that's a little odd right here at this node. So if we swivel this group, we encounter a similar problem. We've split up the fish, so now we have fish, everyone else, and fish. So where does that leave us?
Under the fish, now I get it.
Well, if you want them to be a monophyletic group, then pretty much everything with a spine is a fish, right?
Good guess, but actually no.
Because you see, there's another term that I haven't introduced. It's called paraphyletic. Now, what this means, it's an ancestor and some of their descendants. And we use this paraphyletic groups in ways that tend to make more sense for us. So you can still have fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals, but when you classify them that, then fish are a paraphyletic group, and so are reptiles. So there you have it. Birds are reptiles, everything is fish, and nothing really matters. Just kidding. But it does show us that we can classify things in different ways, and if you want everything to be fish, then we can have everything as a monophyletic group. But it's sometimes more useful to classify things as a paraphyletic group. Thanks for watching.